Final Fantasy. There is a lot of them, and recently I decided to sit down and play them all. Well, almost all of them. I'm not sure my PC can run 13, and 11 and 14 are both MMOs, and I don't really want anything to do with that. But I will play some of the spin-offs like Stranger in Paradise, Tactics, Dissidia? Almost all of them. As you know, because you clicked on this video, I've now played through Final Fantasy II. And like the first video, I will of course be ranking it at the end. Now, let's get into Final Fantasy II. So if you've seen my first video, you would know that I was surprised when the characters didn't have names, because I thought that Final Fantasy was about named characters. And it is, starting with Final Fantasy II. So, before we get into the story, I'm going to quickly touch up on the gameplay. It's still turn-based, but it is a lot different. See, the last game you leveled up, your stats would go up, each character had a class so they could only have certain things equipped to that class. This game, you don't level up. Your skills or your proficiency with certain weapons or spells goes up, and you can equip anything on anybody. So it takes a little bit getting used to. And I turned some of the characters into classes that they aren't canonically. But hey, that's fine. So our squad this time is Maria and Leon, who are siblings who live in the Kingdom of Fynn. As we also have Guy. Guy was abandoned in the wilderness at a young age and raised by animals, and thus he doesn't speak very good English and can speak fluent animal, who was eventually taken in by Maria and Leon's parents. And we have the leader of our group, Furion, who is a childhood friend of Maria, and when his parents passed away, Leon and Maria's parents took him in as well. So as I was playing this, I was in a party with Sai and Sock. Every single time I would mention Maria or Leon, I would be hit with this.
Maria.
Leon!
Maria.
Leon!
Maria.
Leon!
Over and over and over the entire playthrough. And now you're gonna have to suffer through it too.
Leon!
But I'm not gonna just spam it. I'm gonna place them in periodically. Yeah, you're not gonna see it coming. It's gonna keep you on your toes. Let's see here. And here is where I realized I need to take notes while playing, because so much happens at the start of 2 I'm struggling to remember. So I've had to read up on what I forgot and learned lots of things that I never knew, but since I know them now, I added it in. Well, sounds like somebody should have been taking notes. So, let's begin. The Emperor of Palamecia has decided on world conquest. Several kingdoms have already been burned. Our story begins with our 4 heroes fleeing the Kingdom of Flynn after their parents were slaughtered during the Empire's invasion. They managed to escape the city, but while fleeing through the woods, some of the Empire's elite troops catch them and beat them within an inch of their lives, leaving them in the forest for dead. Furion awakens in a room after being healed by a white wizard. He quickly finds Maria and Guy, but Leon is missing. They meet with the Princess Hilda and ask to join the rebel army. She refuses, stating that they are young, untrained, and would just be marching to their deaths. She does teach them the rebels' secret password, Wild Rose, so that they could at least live somewhat comfortably in Altair, the small town the rebels were able to take and are currently using as base of operations. The trio explore Altair, and they find the king, who is in terrible condition from a wound that he got while trying to escape. He tells them that he put the princess in charge. The trio then explore the town, meeting Paul. He claims himself the best thief in the world and only steals from the Empire. And we meet Gordon, the second prince of Kashun, and he is super, super timid and depressed about being useless and a coward, saying that his brother Scott stayed back so that he could escape, and not knowing his brother's fate, he hates himself for being so pathetic. I would soon find that the inn in this town was really cheap, like even the first night was free. And you can revive characters at the church for free this time. I was ecstatic that I would not have Sai putting me in debt this time. I was so happy. I went and I bought armor for all my characters because there's no debt. And so I went to the magic shop to pick up some spells. No. No, 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 no. You've got to be kidding me. Well, maybe it'll be fine. I was able to buy armor for the whole party for the same price as a single spell. Once again, Sai puts me in debt. Well, anyway, not wanting to take no for an answer and prove themselves useful to the rebel army, our trio heads back to Fynn to gather some intel, because nobody knows the state of Fynn right now. They find the city crawling with monsters and knights, and after sneaking around for a while, they find a bar. The bar is filled with knights, so they sneak around to get behind the counter and talk to the bartender, who tells them that he found Prince Scott and has been hiding him in the basement. And now that they're here, it's no longer his problem, and dips. He just books it out of there. We find Prince Scott lying in a bed in the basement. He is in really bad condition. We tell him the password so he knows we're allies, and he opens up to us. He gives us his ring as proof that we found him, and it also has a world map on it. And he explains to us the reason why Fynn fell so easily is because the Count Borghen betrayed them. He then asks us to deliver 2 messages, one for his brother, some words of encouragement not to give up, another for the Princess of Fynn, Hilda, that he loves her. But he quickly revokes this wish, saying a confession of love from a dead man would only bring her pain. And then he takes his last breath, and he's gone. The trio make their way back to Altair and give Gordon his brother's message. It lifts his spirits, even if by only a little. They then go and inform the princess of everything they learned. Impressed that they were able to sneak in and out of Fynn, she allows them to join the rebel army. She gives them their first mission immediately, to get Mithril, so they can forge Mithril weapons and armor. Maybe with Mithril, the rebel army can stand a chance against the more powerful empire. They need to go meet Joseph, a rebel operative that they have lost contact with. He was originally tasked with getting the Mithril. So, we're to find him in the snowy town of Salaman. The white wizard Minwu joins the party for this mission. Now, just like
Maria
and
Leon!
Sock would do this every single time I mentioned. Yeah, this was actually his favorite one. Yep, that was fun. On the way there, in the port town of Puft, we met a man named Sid. Now, I've been told that there's a guy named Sid in every Final Fantasy game. And, yeah, no, there was one in Final Fantasy 1 as well, I never mentioned. Because you never meet him, he's only, like, mentioned once by a random NPC. I think they said that he's the one that built the airship in that game. Anyway, Sid here is the owner of this world's one and only airship. Anyway, I think you're supposed to have him fly you to Salaman. I, however, just walked north till I found it. Once in Salaman, we find Joseph, who just dismisses us and doesn't help at all. He was honestly quite rude. But we also learn that all the men in the village have been taken as slaves to mine Mithril in the mines down south by the waterfall. So, we make our way to the mines and we find the slaves. And Paul? He was caught while snooping around the mines. Paul thanks us for saving him, the slaves, and Joseph's daughter. He then tells us there's Mithril further down. We go for the Mithril while Paul escorts everyone back to Salaman. We beat the singular knight guarding the Mithril, and then we return to Salaman. Joseph thanks us for saving his daughter, and her capture is why he was so cold to us, because he was scared they'd hurt her. Now that she's safe, he apologizes for his words and answers any questions we have. Upon returning to Altair, Hilda thanks them for getting the Mithril. But there's no time for celebration. They've gotten word that the Empire is building the Dreadnought, a massive super battle airship that the people of the Empire-controlled town of Basque are being enslaved to build. The squad heads to Basque, and while walking around the town, they learn that the project is being overseen by the Black Knight and the traitorous Count Borgin. With the help of an undercover knight, they attempt to sneak into the construction site, but are too late. The Dreadnought is complete, and it flies away, bombarding every town in its path. Poft, Parloom, Gatri, Altair. I visited them all on my way back. They're all wrecked, and almost everyone is dead. Like literally, the first NPC you talk to in each town will say everyone's dead. Well, clearly not everyone, because she's alive, but you know. In Altair, some of the civilians managed to hide in the base, but most didn't make it. The rebel army itself is mostly fine, but civilian losses were at an immeasurable rate. It's probably measurable. Civilian losses were a lot. Back in Altair, we learn that Gordon is missing, and the king's condition is worsening. Hilda says if anyone knows a weakness for an airship, it's Sid, so we go ask Sid. He tells us that you could destroy it by tossing a sunfire into its engine. We return to Altair and tell Hilda that. Hilda says the sunfire is a mystic flame that is the symbol of the kingdom of Kashun, and it's kept inside of a special brazier, and the only way to move it is with a special torch, which is inside the keep. However, Scott and Gordon sealed it off when the Empire invaded so that they couldn't get it. Now with Scott dead and Gordon missing, the only other way to get inside is by using the Goddess Bell, which is supposedly near Salaman. We then return to Salaman. However, leaves the party, staying behind to heal the wounded. And the king. Now with the trio back in Salaman, they talk to Joseph, who tells them that the Goddess Bell is indeed in a cave in the snowfields. However, the only way to get through the snowfields is with a snowcraft. Luckily, he has one, hidden in the Mithril mines. Joseph joins the party to help get the snowcraft as thanks for saving his daughter. They get the craft and head through the snowfields. In this cave, they find a giant beaver den. Guy can speak animal, remember? So, he talks to the beavers, and they tell him where it is and that it's guarded by a monster. So we go to it, we defeat the Adamantoise, and claim the Goddess Bell. On their way out, they're confronted by Count Borgin, who wants to take the bell for himself. We fight and kill him, but with the last of his strength, he sets off a trap, causing a giant boulder to roll down towards us in a last-ditch effort to kill us. It's too quick, so Joseph stops the boulder with what strength he has, telling the rest to leave while they still can. The trio escapes, but Joseph's strength gives out, and he is crushed to death by the boulder. They've no time to mourn. They must get that flame and stop the Dreadnought. So they make their way to Kashun Keep. They get to Kashun Keep, and they open the door with the bell, and inside they find Gordon. He was going to try to get the flame himself, after being encouraged by his brother's words. But it's like a monster den in there, and he just couldn't. He asks to go with us, and he joins our party. And we fight our way through the keep and claim the torch that allows us to get the Sunfire. And as we exit the keep, we see Cid's airship there to pick us up. But it's immediately taken away by the Dreadnought. So now we have to walk back to Altair. Upon walking back to the rebel base, we learn that Hilda wanted to meet us at Kashin Keep. So she was on Cid's airship, and so that means the princess has been kidnapped. So they search around for the Dreadnought's fueling station, and once they find it, they infiltrate the Dreadnought. They find Cid and the princess inside, and they free them. Cid takes the princess to the airship so that they can make a quick getaway. The squad finds the engine room and tosses the Sunfire into the engine, causing the whole place to start self-destructing. The Black Knight was there. He was gonna try to stop him, but he was too late. Maria notices that his voice sounds familiar, but they don't have time to dwell on this. They need to get out of there now. They rush out of the Dreadnought and onto Cid's ship and fly away victorious as the Dreadnought explodes. And they head back to Altair. Upon returning to Altair yet again, this time we are informed that the king's condition has taken a turn for the worst. We go to see him. He calls for Furion, Minwu, and Gordon. He gives each an order. Gordon has grown so strong during his time with us. It is now his job to lead the troops. He must now take charge alongside Hilda. Minwu knows of a legend of a super ancient powerful magic known as the Ultima. He is tasked with breaking the seal on the Ultima Tome and retrieving it. Finally, Furion must head to Deist and gain the aid of the Dragoons. The king heard that they were slaughtered, but if we could survive, surely such a noble and powerful group could too. And we will most likely require the aid of the Dragoons and their wyverns if we are to win this war. And one final order for all three: take care of Hilda. And with that, he takes his final breaths. Gordon stands strong. Our tears can come later. We must each carry out our orders, he says. Everyone agrees and heads out to complete their tasks. I make a quick stop to check up on the Princess Hilda, who's just laughing, which is kind of weird because her dad just died. I mean, I guess grief can come in all sorts of ways, but that really felt kind of off. Anyway, the trio would now begin their journey to Deist. In Parloom, we find a ship that was just getting ready to sail to Deist at the exact moment we needed it. Kinda sus. But we had no other choice, so we hop aboard. Once we get to open waters, yeah, they're pirates, and they hit us with they'll let us live if we just give them everything. So instead we just beat their asses, and Furion tells their captain that she should join the rebels against the Empire. She's a bit taken aback, but goes with, hell yeah, why not? So Captain Lila joins our party. With their ship at our command, we then sail to Deist, only to find that the rumors are true. Only a single child and his mother remain, and one wyvern. See, the Empire poisoned the wyvern's water supply, and when all the wyverns were dead, they came in and killed the dragoons one by one. In a cave on the island, we find a pendant that lets us speak to the final wyvern. They tell us that their time is almost at an end too. But they ask us to take this egg and submerge it in a sacred lake within the cave. We fulfill their wish, and upon our return, they had already passed. With no success found here, we head back to Altair. Back at base, everybody is saying that the princess is acting weird. One guy even said that he saw her eating a rat. So I knew I wasn't the only one getting a strange vibe from that. So the party enters her room and she asks to talk to Furion in private. The other three leave the room, and the princess gets into bed. Furion is shocked and doesn't really know what to do. She then says what's taking him so long, she doesn't like being teased. Furion is even more shocked, but he gets closer to the bed. And once there, boom! The princess turns into the Lamia Queen. The other three rush into the room, and together they kill her. But if this princess is a Lamia, where's the real princess? Just then, a guard and Gordon rush into the room and tell them that the Empire has announced a tournament with the princess as a prize. Gordon, wanting to help rescue her, joins the party, while Lila takes charge of the army in the meantime. Now on my way to the Palamecia Coliseum, I found the Chocobo Forest. Now, I do know what a Chocobo is. And frankly, they're not super useful here. I mean, you can run around the overworld faster, but if you dismount, you can't enter towns with them, and if you dismount them at all, they rush back to the forest, and then you'd have to walk slowly back to the forest. But I love them, and I am happy they're here. Le Chocobo. So, I take a Chocobo to the Colosseum. Now at the Colosseum, they head inside, and immediately, the Empire sets the behemoth on them. It is a very large and quite tough creature. They slay the beast, but are surrounded by knights and knocked unconscious. They wake up in a prison cell, but luckily, Paul shows up and frees them, as thanks for freeing him back in the mines. They search around and rescue the princess from another cell. Upon freeing her, Gordon leaves the party and escorts her back to Altair. The trio also heads back to Altair, but when they get there, it's been abandoned, apart from a single guard that tells them that Gordon and Hilda have pitched a camp near Fynn and are planning on taking it back, and that they need the party's strength. We head to the camp. There, Hilda thanks us for saving her, and Gordon explains that they'll hold the army at bay while we enter the castle and slay the commander. We get to the front gate of the castle, which is open now, and are greeted by Lila, who joins our party. Together we fight through the castle, and in the throne room we slay Godos, the monster in charge of Fynn. We enjoy the victory, and the citizens are overjoyed to be home, especially Paul. Hilda congratulates us, and Gordon tells us that Minwoo has not returned. Well, actually, they both tell us. Hasn't returned from his task yet, and they're worried. So they ask us to go find him. We would find him at the mage town of Mysidia, and that we would need 2 special masks. One was in this castle, but neither of them knew where it was. Paul is a master thief though, so he might. We go and ask Paul, and uninterested in a white mask, he tells us where the secret door is. We go through the basement and find the white mask. Our party heads to Mycelia, a town of mages. First of all, we find a statue in underneath their lake of a goddess, and we can put the white mask on her. I don't know what that did, to be honest with you, but I'm sure it was important. We stocked up on some spells from the Council of Sighs. Some of the mages told us that Minwoo was at the Mycedia Tower, but in order to get in, we needed a crystal rod. But to get the crystal rod, we needed the black mask. Now, I accidentally found a tropical island when trying to find Deist, and I explored it for a little bit and found a room full of people in masks, and left because I thought this would be important later. So I have a suspicion of where that black mask could be. So I went there, and lo and behold, they knew where the mask was. So I found the mask, killed its guardian, went to the Mycedia cave, put the mask on the clone of Furion, went through the cave, got the crystal rod, and now we can finally go to the Mycelia Tower to go see Minwoo. We sail to where the tower is, but just outside of the tower, we get swallowed by a Leviathan. Not all of us. Our ship and Lila are nowhere to be found. But inside this creature's belly was lava. Yep, one of my favorite things from Final Fantasy I decided to make a comeback. Anyway, we go through the beast's innards and eventually we find a whole bunch of people who have been swallowed. Turns out anybody holding a crystal rod gets swallowed by this beast as part of like the tower's defense mechanism. And down here we meet Ricard, the last living dragoon. Now, when we told him about his people's fate, he was a bit in disbelief that it could happen. But he did see us as capable fighters and told us that there's a way out of here. There's a ship, but there's a monster guarding it. And perhaps together they could kill it. So, Ricard joins the party. So together, we fight the monstrous worm, claim the ship, and escape. Notably, I think we left everybody else inside the thing's stomach. Anyway, now able to go to the tower, we don't. Instead, I head all the way back to Dice to see if Ricard has any dialogue with the son and mother. And he does. He basically tells them to be strong while he's gone, and once the Emperor's dead, he'll return and take care of them. Now we head to the tower and fight our way up its many floors that contain lava and ice spikes. Wow! My two least favorite places from the first game made a return. Incredible. I love that. Thank you, game. Very cool. And after each certain amount of floors, you have to fight a boss. First the Fire Gigas, then the Ice Gigas, then the Thunder Gigas. Let me tell you, the Thunder Gigas was like 10 times harder than the other two. Once at the top of the tower, we find who, I guess, one, didn't get swallowed by the Leviathan, and also managed to get past all those bosses. I think I have been severely underestimating Minwu. He tells us that he is able to break the seal for us to grab the Ultimatome. And so he uses all of his power to break the seal. And it works. But Minwu falls to the ground. He says it was always his destiny to get us that tome. And like that, Minwu dies. How many people are we gonna lose? They can't keep getting away with this. That's the 5th one. That's Minwu. That was Sock's favorite. We can't keep losing people like this. That's for sure gotta be the last one, right? We grabbed the Ultimatome that he sacrificed his life for us to get, and it was kind of useless because of the system that requires you to upgrade the spell by using it over and over and over, and frankly I only got the thing up to level 5, and maybe that's why it was useless, but honestly it was not worth Minwu's life. So with a heavy heart, we go back to Fynn and see a cyclone right outside it. I enter the city to heal up at the inn, but I only see 2 people who tell me that everybody else died in the cyclone. And so did all the non-Empire towns. So sure enough, I check a couple of the towns and they're all completely destroyed. I can't even enter them anymore. Literally everybody is dead now. Like, what was I just talking about? What is this? The Final Fantasy of pain and suffering? Now we enter the castle of Fynn to talk to Hilda and Gordon. And they tell me pretty much everything I just went to see for myself. And there's no way to stop the cyclone. There's no way to get into it without dying. But this castle has a mirror that can summon wyverns. So we head to the mirror and we shine the pendant on the mirror. And we see the egg hatch in the mirror. And the wyverns start flying over. It gets here. And with the baby wyvern's help, we infiltrate the cyclone and start battling our way through the terrible place. And at the very top of this foul fortress, we find him, the Emperor. Now he sends his elite guards at us, but we easily take care of them all. So he decides he'll kill us with his own hands. And our battle with the Emperor finally begins. We emerge victorious and destroy the Cyclone Fortress. And back at the castle, we celebrate our victory of the war with a dance. Just then, though, a dying rebel rushes into the room, exclaiming that the Black Knight
Leon!
has claimed the title of Emperor. Everyone is in shock, especially
Maria.
The party decides that they'll go to Palamecia and end this once and for all and talk Leon down. They just need to learn how to get there. Gordon mentions that Paul brags about breaking into Palamecia, so he might know. We head to Paul's house and we find Sid resting there. He's pretty banged up from the cyclone. Oh no. He lends us his airship, wanting to help us out. But he says he wants it back when we're done. And with that final request, he passes on. We talked to Paul and he says the only way into Palamecia is from above. Well, now we have an airship, so there's no better chance than now. With the airship, we fly to Palamecia and infiltrate their kingdom. We fight our way through the fortress. There's this one chest. This one. And I died to this monster ambush like 30 times because these stupid cats would just stun lock the entire squad and then just one-shot them. It says it did 40 damage. I have 17,000 health, or 1,700 health. How did you do 40 damage and one-shot me at 1,700 health? Times 6! I despised this. But I just kept trying it over and over and over, which is the definition of insanity. However, I was pretty sure it was RNG based, and it was. So once I finally got the round where they didn't spam the one shot, I slaughtered all those cats and got the treasure. I don't remember what it was because I don't look at the I'm not looking at the footage right now while recording this. So Visual Cat will show you what the item was, but frankly, I don't even know if it was worth it. After dealing with those stupid cats and their pet snake, or it was the snake with all her pet cats. Whatever. After dealing with them, we made our way to the throne room and found
Leon!
We confront him on why he would do this, and he gives us the typical, only thing that matters is power. Only the strong survive. The weak only get to survive because they have the strong leading them, and without the strong, yada yada yada. We've all heard that like a million times. It's that. But as our fight with Leon's about to begin, a black hole opens on the throne, and the Emperor appears, but he's different. He made himself insanely powerful in hell, becoming like the king of hell or I guess like the emperor of hell. And now he's all powerful. Leon's standing there like, no, I'm the emperor now, blah 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 blah. And the emperor's like, I don't care if you're the emperor of this stupid empire, I'm gonna destroy the world. And now I'm gonna kill you all. But Ricard calls the Wyvern to save us. And as the Wyvern scoops us all up, he stays back and tries to hold back the Emperor as we get flown away, leading to the death of Ricard now too. Okay, so everybody's dead. Everybody dies. I don't know how much more of this I can take. And I'm not alone. Because we get to Finn the princess sees Leon with us and she's confused, and then we tell her what happened, and she also says she doesn't know how much more of this she can take. I'm with you, princess. This is just suffering. That conversation eventually boils down to Maria begging for Leon to be able to fight the Emperor alongside them, kind of like an enemy of my enemy is my friend thing, even though I'm sure she wants to believe that her brother's still good, but it's more of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So Leon joins the squad. And then one of the guards tells us that his castle, Pandemonium, is appearing in our world, but it's rooted in hell. And you can get to hell through this special lake. So we go to that lake, we make our way through, we enter hell. Well, we only enter the castle Pandemonium. Then we start fighting our way through Pandemonium. Pandemonium was filled with those cats, so I'm gonna be honest, I just turned encounters off because I wasn't dealing with those stupid cats. There was a lot of places where you had to walk through walls, but it did have some really good armor called the Genji. And a really good sword too, I think. If I remember correctly. But each piece was guarded by a boss, which do have a correct order to fight them in. So naturally, I didn't. The very first piece I got was guarded by Beelzebub. And that was a really hard fight. That was just a really hard fight. Yeah, this guy sucked. Then was, I think, Osmosis? He was insanely hard. I nearly lost that many times because he was really, really, really strong. The next one I fought was Tiamat, which wasn't really all that hard, to be honest. And the very final one I fought was Zombie Borgher, which was insanely easy, and the point where I realized that he was probably supposed to be fought first. But I got the really good armor and weapon, so hey. But now there was only one battle left, the Emperor of Darkness. And seeing as this is the final battle, I'll let you watch it yourself. Though unlike last time, I will speed it up even more because this one lasted even longer. Okay, enjoy it. And so a ceremony is held for finally vanquishing the evil. We are thanked and congratulated and all that. Gordon thanks us for helping him become the braver man that he is today. Gordon and Hilda vow to combine Finn and Cushion's powers to create a more fair kingdom than ever before. Paul is upset with us because now he has no one to steal from and threatens to steal from us. Lila says that Furion should try his hand at pirating, but I guess that doesn't sit right with Maria. And then she says that his next battle's already begun. Joseph's daughter shows up and says that her dad would be proud up there in the clouds. And now she's gonna work for the princess. And then Joseph's ghost appears for a second. And then they all walk away. Then we talk to Leon. Leon says he's leaving. Too much has happened. Maria wants to live in peace, so she's like, Furion, stop him. But Furion's like, yeah, we've all been through too much. Let him go. And when he comes back, we'll stop him. Frankly, poor decision. You should have just stopped him now. But whatever. Then we see the ghosts of our fallen party mates. So with that comes the end of Final Fantasy II. As for where I'd rank it, I'm gonna put it in B. Yeah, it's not as much as 1, but that's because I didn't really mess with the new upgrade system very much, and a lot of the rooms were just dead ends, to be honest. My biggest thing, I think, is that the map wasn't utilized as well as the first game. I feel like there's lots of parts of the map that you just did not need to go to. But it had good characters. I liked its overall story. So you know what? We'll bump it up. We'll put it in A rank. Yeah. But behind 1. It'll probably go down in the future, but for now it's there.